If you're watching this, you're probably a student looking at coming to Australia to study at the university level, and you may be unsure of different processes that you need to follow, such as application processes, university choices, how to pay your fees, student accommodation, etc. So this is also my overview of my experience, how I overcame certain obstacles, like especially a bridging course. If you're coming from usually an Asian country, a bridging course is necessary, or if you don't fulfill the application requirements, how I paid my fees, what kind of accommodation I'm staying at, and just the general student overview of what it's like living as a student here in Australia. So if you haven't yet chosen a university, there's probably three main aspects that you want to be looking at. So before you make that final decision, you should probably be looking at the first one being location, the second one being tuition fees, and the third one being the courses and programs offered by universities, as well as, attached to that, the possible graduate programs attached to those universities. So location-wise, for universities, you probably want to be looking at the main cities. So I'm talking about Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Canberra, etc. These are the places that, also Perth. These are the places where the higher-end universities tend to be located. Of course, universities have multiple campuses across the cities that they're in or across Australia. So you may want to take this into account. For location-wise, also the lifestyle, the culture, the public transport especially, and also the accommodation that you're going to be staying in, because accommodation is obviously very important for a university student. So once you've chosen your location, you want to be looking at different universities within that location. So for example, in Brisbane we have Queensland University of Technology, we have University of Queensland, Griffith, Australian Catholic University. And within those universities a bunch of different campuses and courses that are offered. So, and probably the most important thing after your campus choice would probably be accommodation. Now, student accommodation here in Australia is fairly straightforward. Students tend to stay off campus because it's cheaper and it's more independent lifestyle. And here in Australia we have share houses. We don't necessarily have roommates per se, we have housemates. So you can room with someone, but it's usually not done that way. There are many different resources you can go on to finding a roommate, such as realestate.com.au. You can go to flatmates.com.au and gumtree.com.au. These are all very helpful resources, and I actually found mine on Gumtree. Now, after you've decided on accommodation styles, you may want to change your location or your university choice depending on where you want to be staying and how much you want to be paying. So on to the next stage. After you've chosen your location and your accommodation, you want to be looking at tuition fees. So of course tuition fees when applying to university are very important, especially for international students, as you may pay a high rate just because your degree isn't subsidized by the government because you're not a citizen or a permanent resident. So just for tuition inquiries, the best place to go is your university website. Go to your degree, find your degree specifically that you're looking at doing, such as a Bachelor of Biomedical Science. Look at that degree page, and generally it gives an average cost over 48 credit points, and then that's usually a year, how much it would cost. It does vary between different degrees, different courses, and different universities. And within that degree, prices may vary between courses depending on how many labs you're doing, what kind of workshops you're doing, and just how many contact hours you have. So take a look at your tuition fees, get a good estimate of how much it would cost you, and compare it to other degrees, compare it to other universities. And once you've found something that you're comfortable with, you do need to note that the government, international students can't get any sort of government's subsidized fees here, and all fees need to be paid in full up front, and there are no student loans offered to international fees here in Australia. Yep, so you need to take that into account when looking at your tuition fees. Always make sure that you're looking at the international tuition fees and not the domestic ones, especially if you don't have a permanent residency status, permanent humanitarian visa status, or you're not a citizen of Australia or New Zealand. So after you've found your tuition fees and you're comfortable with the university, your degree, and your tuition fees, you should be looking at what degree specifically you want to be doing and what courses that university is offering, as well as potential graduate programs or honors programs attached to that degree. So next you want to be finding the degree that you want to be doing. So when choosing a degree at university, it is usually degrees here in Australia are about 3 to 4 years, depending on if you do an honors program or how many subjects you're taking. So when choosing a degree, you want to choose something that you enjoy, obviously, just because if you don't, it's going to be a long few years and a lot of wasted money, and your degree essentially leads to your career path. So you want to make sure that you're choosing something that you genuinely enjoy, just so that you enjoy your time at university and you enjoy what you study. So moving on from that, looking at your degrees, also within your degrees, look at your courses, what kind of courses you want to be taking, which semesters they're offered in, how much they cost. Of course, we've spoken about that before. And just make sure, my main issue was trying to organize my semesters, because some courses are not offered in the second semester and some are not offered in the first semester. So just trying to lay it out for the next 3 years, I had to make sure that I had all my prerequisites covered, and I also had to make sure that when I took those prerequisites that I was actually looking at the correct semester when I was doing it. So just attached to this, a common problem for international students here, and I have personal experience with this, was when they came over to Australia to study, they didn't realize that they had to do a bridging course, or that their high school credits weren't accepted by Australian universities. So in my example, I graduated from an American high school with an American high school diploma. My school didn't offer any advanced placement classes, so when I came to apply to Australia, they told me that I needed to basically prove to them that I was actually sufficient in these subjects that I was graded for. So I had to do a bridging course. And initially, I looked at the bridging course offered by the university. So that tend to be very expensive. They tend to be $10,000 to $20,000 a year, which, I mean, I couldn't afford that. That was ridiculously priced. So I did some more research, and other international students may want to take a look at this, because it is a lot cheaper than doing the foundation year at your university. Is here in Australia we have an institution called TAFE, TAFE, and they offer bridging courses for students who are in similar situations to me. They either didn't graduate high school, their high school credits aren't accepted by Australian universities, or they need to prove English proficiency to the universities. This is generally for people coming from a non-English speaking country. And so look at your TAFE bridging courses. They're generally called ATP, so that's Adult Tertiary Preparation, and they're a lot cheaper, and they provide the foundation you need to actually fill out your application and apply to the university you're looking at. So that pretty much sums up, if you're looking to come to study in Australia, that pretty much sums up what you need to be looking at and the kind of details that you need to be paying attention to, just because it is a little bit different to applying to a Canadian or American system. So hopefully that was very helpful. The reason I'm wearing a lab coat is because I like lab coats, and that's the only reason I attend university, is so that I can wear my lab coat. And so those are some things to take into consideration: location, tuition fees, and the courses and degrees offered by your university. And the most important thing is to make sure that you look that your credits are approved and that will be accepted by the university. And if they're not, look at your bridging courses, especially at TAFE, at TAFE, at Adult Tertiary Preparation. and that'll prepare you for university. And hopefully that was very helpful. And that's my first person story and experience, and I hope that you can apply that to your situation. Bye.